Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Alternative Tentacles Batcast. My name is Dominic Davi. You might know me from the band Tsunami Bomb. And I am here with my co-host now, Christina Madcap from the Darts. And we've started a new segment called Between Two Bassists. And today,
I feel like we need like a theme song to go after that, like
yeah, it's like Between Two Bassists. I'll see if I can make something. I don't know if everyone watching this sees this and it has something, then we successfully created a theme. If you don't, then we haven't yet. Today, Between Two Bassists is Jeff Dean from Dead Ending, Airstream Futures, and All Eyes West. And I think I got all three.
Yeah, there's a couple others, but those are the ones.
Okay, those are the ones. Those are the ones at least I know about. Welcome to the podcast,
dude. It's good to see your face.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, what, 3 bands are represented on Alternative Tentacles here at one place? I mean, what is this, 1999, 2000? This is crazy.
It's Between Two Bassists.
At least
getting
on
the
my
family together.
At least on my screen, you literally are between us, so that's actually perfect.
Awesome.
So yeah, thanks for being on the podcast. You have just dropped, by the time people are hearing this, you've just dropped a brand new digital EP called American Virus, and it's kind of badass.
Thanks, dude. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. So before we even get into that, let's talk about Dead Ending. How did you guys come together? For anybody that's listening that may have heard the name but doesn't know what the deal is with your band.
It's funny because this was probably like 2011, 2010. I mean, I grew up playing guitar in hardcore bands. I was in a band called Tomorrow's Gone. I played in a band called Exploded Makeup. And I really always have liked playing like kind of fast guitar playing, like Dag Nasty kind of style guitar playing. And I was just thinking one day when I was talking to my friend Mike, I was like, at the time I hadn't really heard, there wasn't any like new bands that were fast, like everything was like very dissonant, which I love, but like everything just seemed slowed down. And I was like, it'd be kind of fun to do something fast. And so I talked to Derek Grant, who's one of my best friends. I was like, hey, I want to do this thing. He's like, yeah, I'm in. And then I was like, who should sing, And I was like, I should ask Vic. Why not, And so I called up Vic. I'm like, hey, I want to do this thing. He's like, I'm in. He didn't even let me get the words out. And I was like, well, I want it to be like that. And he's like, I'm in. I'm ready. And I was like, well, it's going to be really fast. He's like, who screams better than me? And I'm like,
that's awesome.
I'm like, you're not wrong. And so Derek and I started working on some songs. And then, at the time, Derek and I were both living here, and Vic lives in Seattle. And I was like, and this is a long way getting around to how Nate ended up, who's our bass player now, ended up playing bass. But originally I talked to Nate, and I was like, I think I wanted Nate to play bass. We had all, he played an ensign, and we were friends, and we had always talked about doing a project. And so I asked him about it, and he was super into it. But then I was trying to logistically work it out. I'm like, we can't have 2 people living in another state. It's just going to be too hard to manage. And so then I was like, well, who do I know that loves Articles of Faith? I'm like, Joe. And so I just asked Joe, and he was like, yeah, I'm in. And it literally just kind of came together like that.
That's awesome. And yeah, it's kind of funny how you're like, yeah, it came together, but you're talking about like Joe from Rise Against, Derek from Alkaline Trio, Vic from Articles of Faith. I mean, it's like you kind of assembled
I don't mean it
all-star.
to sound like asshole time. It's not like that. It was literally like, well, Derek and I, we used to live together. He's one of my best friends. And it was like, okay, we love the same hardcore bands. We actually, this is really funny. I think I said something about this before, like a long time ago in a different interview. But when Derek and I were living together, like when he played in the Suicide Machines, who I guitar tech for, we were going to do this hardcore cover band called 24, because X was the 24th letter of the alphabet. And so we learned like all these like hard, like Chain of Strength songs and Turning Point songs and stuff. And like we had this whole idea to do it. It never materialized. It was more like a joke between the two of us. But like, we've always had that kind of connection with those kind of bands, you know? So it was like, when I was thinking I wanted to do something fast, it was more or less just an excuse for Derek and I to hang out more often and play music, you know? And then the rest just kind of was like, well, who do I know wants to fucking play hardcore now, you know?
Right. It's really
so
funny.
do you guys all live in the same place now or no?
No, I'm the only one that lives in Chicago now.
Okay.
Derek's in Michigan, Nate lives in Florida, and Vic's in Seattle still.
Wow.
That was the funny part when you said, like, well, we can't have two people out of state. I was like, yeah, that worked out. That really worked out for you, Jeff.
Yeah, now it's like...
That really put together...
That was years ago now.
Well, with the internet and everything, you can do everything kind of remotely, right?
Well, not jumping ahead in what I assume we're going to talk about, but that's how we did this new record, was remotely. Which was weird, but that's technology, right? It worked.
Yeah.
No, it's awesome because you guys aren't able to, because of everyone's schedules, you guys don't play a lot of shows, but the shows you guys have played have been pretty awesome from all accounts.
Well, yeah, it's funny with us because like live wise, it's been very minimum, but like writing wise, it's pretty prolific. You know what I mean? It's like, what, 3 EPs, 2 7-inches, an album, and now this digital release. That's a lot of output for a hardcore band. It's a lot of output for any style of band, but especially like hardcore bands, you know?
Especially a band of people that don't live in the same state and are all in other bands. Like that is a lot of writing.
I was trying to avoid that, but you're not wrong.
That's crazy.
It might be the lack of pressure, though. You know, sometimes it's hard to balance, like when you're playing shows and you're getting everybody together for that stuff, for tours or this or that, and then all of a sudden it's like, but for you guys, mostly the focus is on writing and creating new material for this band. So
yeah,
you know,
and and everybody writes songs for the band too. So it's like, I feel like we had these like bursts. You know what I mean? It's like I won't hear from anybody for like months and months, then all of a sudden it's like this really like productive like spurt of energy, you know, and then it's like, then it kind of just it just is what it is for a while, then it just keeps coming back around, you know. It's awesome. It's actually really awesome that way, because it's like every time we end up like writing and putting out a new record, it's just like it's all on the fly, you know. Like none of our records have been recorded in the way that most bands do them now. It's like every EP was done in a day. The album was done, I think, 4 days total. It was like 2 days drums, bass and guitar, 1 day vocal, and I think I mixed it in like 2 days. And I only took the second day just to give my ears a break. It was like, we've all really had the mindset of it's like this moment in time right now, do it, not overthink it. And
that's so cool. For me, like I've done a lot of recordings where it takes forever and everything's like just has to be perfect. And my favorite thing is just going in, recording everything, doing it, like having that like human sound to it, not making it too fancy. It's way better.
It just depends on the band too, you know. The last Airstream Futures record that just came out in February, we recorded the music in a pretty short time, but it took us almost 2 years to finish that album. It just kind of happened that way, you know. It took a lot out of me, but when I listened to the record, I don't think the record could have been made if it wasn't made that way. And it's like I feel that same way about the Dead Ending records. Like if they would have been stretched out over a long period of time, I think the moment and the energy that comes through in those songs would have been lost, you know.
Yeah, I guess it differs for like each instance that you do, but your new songs sound really rad.
Thank you.
Don't sound like you recorded them in like 2 days.
Well, it was funny with this, with the American Virus stuff, because, you know, I talked to Dominic about how kind of everything came together, at least where the ideas came from for him. And So I wrote a song and Vic wrote a song, and I talked to Derek, and we were all just trying to figure out if there was a way that we could make this work, since everyone lives in different states. And, you know, in these times, it's like, when the fuck are we ever going to be in the same room together again, you know? But it's like, you know, it's like, we all know how to play with one another. So I knew we could make it work, but did anybody have, you know, accessibility to equipment? And I mean, mostly that was on Derek to be able to figure out how to record drums, and he had a way to do it. So, you know, I sent him my song idea, and then he sorted out the drums for it, and then sent the drums back to me. And then I laid the guitars to it and sent it to Vic, and then Vic sent me back his vocal track. And then unfortunately, Nate wasn't able to play bass on this stuff, but what was awesome is that I reached out to Joe, and Joe was super into coming back and playing bass. So then I just sent everything to Joe, and he laid his bass down to it, and it worked. I was just like, I can't believe this works. But I mean, that's technology, right?
It's a new day, man. That's cool. That's cool that you guys can pull that off.
I don't think if we didn't have the history of playing together and coming from the same, you know, backgrounds as far as like music taste and stuff, I don't think it would have worked, you know. If it wasn't these four dudes or like people, I don't think it would have came together the way that it would have.
It's funny.
Yeah, you have to. Oh, go ahead, Don.
Oh no, it's just funny because I was like, your records, your tracks don't sound, your albums don't sound like off the cuff. Like you guys, it actually sounds very deliberate. It sounds very planned. It sounds very precise. I mean, it's very energetic. I mean, the energy is definitely there 100%. But to echo Christina, like, it doesn't sound like you're just slapping these together and like, all right, 2 days, let's do it, go, you know, and then you put this together and it rolls out the way you describe it. Like, it sounds like a very intentional, like, this is a sound that we're going for, this is the approach it's going to take, and it's a kind of a testament to your guys' like experience and skill that your guys are able to execute it so well.
I mean, I take that as a huge compliment coming from the recording aspect of it, because that's the idea, is being able to capture that energy, that moment. And I mean, if it's translating like that on record, I couldn't ask for anything more.
That's awesome.
So thanks, dudes.
Well, you know, it must be interesting too, because you guys don't play a lot, yet you have developed a pretty solid following, because we got in AT got in trouble with shooting with your last LP, Shoot the Messenger.
Really?
Because the AT had issued out a limited number of the vinyl color on, I believe it was, I want to say red. Yeah. It was on red, and I had just started working for AT again in my current position. And it was with the old AT site, and it completely miscounted. You weren't able to do counts. It wasn't able to count down product.
Okay.
And somebody had like slipped up and not stopped the countdown for your colored vinyl, and it sold out faster than expected. Just so everyone knows, AT can handle this now. But we got so many angry emails from people who thought they had bought the red one, didn't, and then didn't make that didn't get one before it sold out. Like, people were pissed. Like wearing them.
That's kind of awesome. I mean, not awesome that people didn't get what they ordered, but that really is like humbling that people care that much. That's
people
rad.
Wanted that record.
That's
awesome.
It's
rad that you way oversold it, and people were like super mad about it too. Like, that's cool. Nice.
That's amazing.
You guys changed the way.
That's the first time I've heard that.
You didn't know that?
Rad.
That is literally the reason. That incident was the reason that I was like, I knew the site had to change, the website, but I was like, okay, the website is changing now. Like, if they can't pull this off, and you guys are doing this by, like, I was literally like, wait a minute. So that means you guys are all logging in going, okay, it's sold out. And I'm like, what are you doing? That's not how it should work. But we had to change it.
I'm glad I've got a couple copies of it for myself then.
Yeah, it completely just went sold out, and people were furious that it was gone.
I'm kind of a completist like that with records anyways. Like I have to have like every color variant, every press of everything. Yeah, I'm a dork.
No, you're just a record collector. Jello's like that. I'm like, I'm just happy to get one.
Me too. I still don't like have all of my records because I keep giving them away to everybody.
I was about to say, Christina,
but it would
you are
be
not
nice
a
to have
completist.
all of them.
You're the opposite of a completist.
So mad about it.
You're like, I have a record. Which
I
one?
rely on the completist to save me like a bundle.
I forgot. I have to like talk to you about what records you need. Totally. You don't even have all your records from us. Girl.
Yeah, I'm terrible about that. I gotta have like every little one that like there's like two that are like the same color with the splatter patterns off. Like I have to have both. You know? Oh
really?
I'm so bad. It was the last tour that the Bomb did in the UK. It was in 2013. It was right when No Idea reissued our Indecision record, and they did this like whole double vinyl, like really like nice, elaborate like reissue of it. And I found that like I was going through the records to kind of like, you know, set everything. I go, these are the purple ones, these are the white ones. And I found this one of the LPs was like this blown out like green marbled white, like just a one-off, right? I was like, I'm keeping this. This is mine. And I carried it around the whole tour. And the last night of tour in Leeds, we were out of records. And this guy came up and he saw it like sitting there underneath the shirt. It's like, can I just have that? And I was like, well, this dude is so stoked about it. Of course I have to sell it to him, but it really like,
you're like, that's mine.
To hand it over. I'm like, I hope you appreciate it, dude.
Oh.
It's a one-off. Like whoever that guy was, he's stoked.
I got one like
Hopefully
that.
He's as stoked as you were.
I know. He seemed like, and that's the only reason like he was really into it. So I felt okay about it.
Dude, when Kung Fu Records, when my band came back to playing again, and we put out a release called Trust No One of all of our old stuff. It was made to be the first pressing was orange.
Okay.
But when they first ran the machines, I don't know why the pressing plant just decided to do this, which is awesome. They did. They had some yellow vinyl or golden vinyl left over, so they made 49 gold marble of the orange and yellow mixed together. These essentially one box of like 49. They didn't quite get to 50, and they sent it as like to Kung Fu, like, for the band and you guys, these are kind of cool copies, like we just did this like because we could. And they were beautiful. I saw a photo of it and we were so excited because it was like, dude, that's the most limited edition thing we've ever done. There's no like, that is like, we have some collector's items in Tsunami Bomb, but like those we all wanted. But the pressing plant they did not mark the box. So they were sent out on the mailing to pre-orders. So 49 people got these gold marbled records without knowing that they had the rarest thing that we've ever put out.
That's awesome.
So, that is kind of awesome.
Not for you.
So
did you get any of them?
Huh?
Did you guys get any of them?
No, they were gone.
They all just got sent out.
They all got sent. Damn. They were gone before anyone realized they had been shipped. So that was supposed to go to the band and the label and just kind of be like, hey, thanks. But like gone. And then people started posting pictures trying to compare their versions to see, because some of the orange was marbled and they were like, oh yeah, is this it? And I was like, no. And then I saw one like in the UK and I was like, that's one. And they're like, oh shit. You know, and it was just like, so there's like 49 people who pre-ordered our record got these, like, they don't even know. So some people, most of them don't even know they have it.
I got to show you something real quick. Now we're nerding out. Sorry. Let me find it. Okay.
Jello hates limited edition stuff, is funny to say.
Really?
Like, I've had to try and convince him, and he's starting to get it, but he doesn't like it because he's a completist like Jeff. So it's like if he doesn't get a copy of one, it drives him fucking crazy. So he has always been really reluctant with the like limited edition stuff. That has to be the band's choice, and it's like usually he doesn't like doing that.
So the Bomb, the last record we did on No Idea, Access is awesome. They did these like hand screened 12-inch LCDs. I don't know if you can see the design, but it's got these flowers and stuff, really cool. But somehow I ended up with this opaque universe looking one that they couldn't screen it, obviously, but I'm like,
neat.
I've seen one other person that has this. I think it was like some guy in Germany who was like a total, like even worse than me, completist. Like he had one more variant of this record that I'd never even seen. And I was like, where the fuck did that come from? I didn't even know that existed. He was like total nerd, but I was like, pretty stoked I got this thing. Sorry.
That's cool. So you guys did like those two different versions?
Yeah. It was just like
That's
a one-off from the factory that they messed up, or a two-off, I guess, that they messed up at the
factory.
factory.
Oh, they just sent them.
Yeah.
Neat.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
The hand screen looked good.
This is where we completely bored anybody that wanted that was listening or watching.
This is where
we could go into like hours-long talks about vinyl colors and pictures, and album art.
Dude, we've all been locked indoors, man. We're bored.
And I think anyone who's actually paid attention to music kind of realizes that musicians are really just nerds. Hate to shatter it. Even the biggest, most celebrity ones are just former nerds. You know, I've seen very few well-adjusted people who were super popular and had really healthy interests become like musicians.
Yeah.
I feel like record collecting's a healthy interest. Maybe not for your fucking bank account,
not for your wallet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Says the guy that needs every variation of everything that comes out, whether it's from him or anyone else that he loves. I don't know if you are best judge of healthy hobbies.
I'm fine without test presses. Unless if they're my records, I need a test press. But bands I'm fans of, I don't need the test press, but I need every other thing. I mean, dude, I'm like the target demographic for all these reissues, right? Like, it's like, oh, okay. Oasis double vinyl, heavyweight, 180 gram, 45 cut. Sure, let me buy this record again for the 10th time. Here's my money. Why not?
It's different.
You could have a lot of habits, man. That's not the worst of them, but
yeah.
I've never done any drugs, so I don't know which one costs more. So
I had a feeling when you called your band 24. So
all that straight edge. But I've never done. I never did any hard drugs.
Yeah. So I guess we know how you've been occupying your time during the shutdown. So that kind of answers.
A lot of wine, a lot of records.
a lot of guitars. Watch this conversation. People may have tuned out of boredom, but Christina's now rethinking her whole position on collecting her own the copies of her own album.
Dude, I really mean to keep all of my records in every variation. I really want them. But then people are like, oh, can I have that record? And I'm like, yeah, go ahead, take it. And I keep doing that, and then I just have nothing.
You need to have
as long as you don't get mad at other people in your band for not giving you the copy, then you're all good. Because I keep
relying on them to like hold them for me, but then I
think I've been irritated with Justin and All Eyes West a couple times when he's like, well, dude, I sold that copy that was left. You didn't take it for like a week. I'm like,
that happens. Yep.
Yeah.
It's something.
But yeah, so
I like how this has just come like true admissions of collecting records. But
yeah.
no, it's legit. Like honestly, it's funny how these things become so important. Like when I started doing music, I didn't think that there was a bunch of things I didn't think I was going to become an authority on, like vinyl, editions, pressing, marketing, van mechanics, things I didn't think I was going to need to learn, like, and it just suddenly become important. But it works out. So so you guys you guys put out this new EP, you dropped this, and that's pretty awesome. As we kind of talked about beforehand, I have a quote from Vic that's going in about about this. I think that we should read this quote for everybody. So this was for the bio for this release from their vocalist Vic. Jeff said, "Let's do a new record, and we'll call it American Virus." Sounded good to me. He wanted to do a Clash cover too, which I didn't like. I was wrong.
It's so big.
So why Clash?
It makes me smile.
Why Clash? And how were you like? What was the moment that Vic like turned on the like was like, okay, Clash?
Because I told him we were doing it. And that was that. No,
he decided to like it.
I've always wanted to cover Complete Control by The Clash. And besides it being my top 5 Clash songs, the guitar solo that Mick Jones does in that song warms my heart every time I fucking hear it. It's so silly because I'm not like a big solo player, but I was like, I can figure this one out. I want to record it. I want to play it. And Vic always has a tendency to like be like kind of like mess around with words and like make them more like topical for now as opposed to then. Like there's a song that Report Suspicious Activity did called Subtle that they did on their first record that Dead Ending actually ended up recording a version of. And then when RSA got back together and did a new record, they did an updated version. And Vic changed the words for all 3 versions. And so I kind of had a feeling that like he would kind of do like a little bit of wordplay on the Clash song to make it his own. And I just thought it would be fun, man. And it's I'll tell you like the most ridiculous story. I like my earliest memory of MTV is the Clash.
Really?
Yeah. When I was a kid, my aunt and uncle, they live in Florida. And I mean, I must have been like 2nd or 3rd grade. And my cousins are like a lot older than I am. And I remember we went to like on a vacation to Florida. And my cousin Ted, my aunt's like, "You're taking your cousin with you to your friend's house or whatever," you know? And he's like, I think he's like 8 years older than me. So there's like he's like, fine, you know? So it's like ride on his mongoose bike over to his friend's house. So it's like their blasting journey. I mean, it's a fucking long time ago. And I remember sitting in his friend's living room and MTV was on. I'm like, what is this? I was like, never, like, it wasn't popular yet. And the video for Rock the Casbah came on. I just have this like memory in my head when Joe Strummer grabs Mick Jones's hat off at the end, you know, and it's just been seared in my brain since I was a child. So that band has always been like there through, I guess, like almost my entire life, you know. And I was like, fuck it, I want to cover this song, damn it. So cool. I said it to Derek, and Derek's like, yeah, it sounds hella fun. And Vic's like, I don't know. And I'm like, we're fucking doing it, dude. And he was just like, fine. And then when he sent his vocals back, I was just like, this is fucking awesome. Like it's great. It makes me so happy. It makes me smile.
Bad. Yeah, you guys did it. You did it good. It's
Thank you.
Really cool. It's really rad. Like I like it.
It made me smile to pull off that Mick Jones guitar solo in it.
That's sometimes when you want to cover a song, like you just want to play this one part. Like I feel that way about like some bass lines in songs. Like, come on, guys, let's just cover it because I just want to play this.
It's just that one lead.
And nobody's into it except for me.
Yeah.
Because I just want to play my part.
Do you think there's a White Whale cover for all of us? Because I just got one. Like we just covered one last year that I've always wanted. I've always wanted to cover a song from Oingo Boingo, and we finally did it. Do you think every band has that? And if so, Christina, what's yours? And then what's your next one,
God.
Jeff?
Okay. I know already.
I don't know, man.
Not her,
I always wanted to cover like some Monk song called I Hate You, or Baby I Hate You, but Call Me. Or that Love, the 7 and 7 Is song with the bass line that's like it sounds exactly like
nice.
that. It's really cool.
Nice.
But I feel like everybody in my band has like a song they want to cover, but we all think it's lame. We all think each other's covers are lame, so we'll never do them.
I always thought it'd be cool to do a covers record where each person in the band gets to pick 2 songs and everyone has to play it regardless of what the song is.
Yeah.
I wonder what that record would look like.
That would be scary.
Insanity.
Well, there'd probably be some like real like deep cuts.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. For me, I would like to cover, this is going to be ridiculous. Are you ready? I don't think I'm alone in it, so it might happen. I want to cover the song from The Labyrinth that the puppets that take off their heads sing.
Which song is that? It's not The Baby.
It's not that one. That's a good one though. That would be like a good number 2 because it was like Dance Magic Dance would be an amazing like.
Oh yeah.
Your magic spell on me. But this one is like, we could show you a good time, like, and it's all talking about basically partying. And it was written by David Bowie, but it's like just this party song that I think he does sing in it, but you can't tell it's him because it's a group and it's other people leading, but everybody has a part. And we and my band all have those heads tattooed. We have a different one.
Nice.
Most of us.
Oh, you guys should do that then.
So
for sure.
like that's one I think that we should do at some point where it's like look, I mean, just a ridiculous musical song.
Well, it'd be funny to see who even picked up what the song was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When I was playing in Noise by Numbers, and then it never happened because we never got around to it because the band broke up. But me and Dan Vappin, we used to get drunk and watch Forgetting Sarah Marshall a lot. And the Russell Brand song in that song Inside of You, we were
God.
dead serious that we were going to do a cover of that song.
That's awesome. I just watched that movie like 2 days ago. It's so funny.
Well, you can picture Vappin singing that shit too. I was like, this might work. We never got around to it, but it was talked about in a more serious tone than it probably should have been.
That would be amazing. And a lot of people wouldn't realize what it was, and they just like, what the fuck are these guys doing?
Yeah.
They probably think it's like some obscure pop punk song that like, I gotta go find this record. Who is this band? It's like, you ever heard Infant Sorrow?
I was always jealous that Les and Jake all got on the same page and put out a Grease cover record. Like a whole record dedicated to a whole musical. I was like always impressed that the whole—
That's an undertaking. That's an undertaking.
Like, we're going to do this. It's like, I mean, it's a fun, like if you like ska and you like Les and Jake, it's fun. But what I was impressed with was that many people went, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's totally do this. This is a great idea, guys.
Because there's usually always somebody who's like, fuck, no. like in every band. So I was like, really, they all were down and they did it. They did a whole record. They spent the money. They made it happen.
That seems pretty crazy.
Yeah, because my band can't agree on anything. So it's like, all right.
When the Bomb did the Speed Is Everything album, we said we were going to cover Cowboy Song by Thin Lizzy. And I learned every fucking note of that song, all the guitar harmonies, everything, right? Like, I did the homework, all the, like, all of it, right? And fucking, when we got into the studio, everyone just bailed on it. And I'm like, dude, you know how much fucking time I spent learning this shit? You guys are fucking assholes. And so then we took a break to go to lunch. And it was me and Jay Robbins and Mike Susie, and we were sitting there, and like Space Age Love Song by Flock of Seagulls came on. I'm like, I love this song. And Mike's like, we should cover this song. And Jay Robbins is like, you are gonna cover this song. And so we left from eating lunch, went to the studio, laid down all the guitars and drums, and fucking Pete showed up, our bassist. I'm like, we're covering Flock of Seagulls. He's like, no, we're not. I'm like, yeah, we are. And it's like, and it's a dead on cover, no liberties, like fucking straight up cover. He's like, no, we're not. Haha. And then Mike's like, yeah, we are. It's gonna be fucking awesome. And the look on Pete's face, he was so mad playing it. I'll never forget.
Oh, God.
Like, I mean, there's nothing really fancy than the bass line, just like doom, 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 doom.
Yeah,
you know,
it's real simple.
But like, he was just so bad. And he was
but
like,
you guys already recorded half of it, and so like he had to do it,
you're
right?
not getting out of this, man. And so he left the studio mad that night, and then Pizzotti showed up. So I was like, yeah, I'm into this. And then just kind of killed it. And I was like, this is actually not bad. And then I was like, you know who we need to get in for fucking backups on this is Bob Nana. So I called up Bob. I'm like, dude, you need to do the call and response part on this song. He's like, yeah, I'll come in and do it. It is just like, this is brilliant. And then so when Pete showed up like a day later, he was like, wait, this is the same song? I'm like, I told you it was going to be good.
It's always like
that's kind of a cool last minute decision to make in the studio.
Dude, everything in the Bomb was last minute decisions. It was like the most beautiful train wreck ever.
Some of them just are, but some of them, yeah, but I don't know. Most of the time, it seems like they're a lot more rigid. Like bands are just like, this is what we're doing. This costs too much. We're not messing around. So it's always kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of personalities in that band. So everyone, there were some odd times, some really amazing times, but what a collection of weirdos.
It backfires though. I've had to play a cover that I was unhappy about, and I was right, and it went over real bad. Like as in like crowds.
What cover did you play that went over really bad?
This is a painful, traumatic memory that I'm about to share. But I was in a band, and we were on tour with NoFX, and we were doing really, really well. And then the band members decided while on the tour, what would be fucking sweet is to cover Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, guys, that's a terrible idea. And let me tell you why. First off, there is no way that our punk band is going to achieve the arena level like energy of that song. That is a pop song that's played.
Well, you're going to be able to pull off the key change in the song either.
Yeah, and I was just like, it's not. Yeah, no, there was that too. But they just dropped that, by the way. So yeah, they just said, fuck that. We're not doing that. But I was like, no. This is not a good idea because it's like our version is going to sound so much smaller. We're not doing anything to it. I mean, we're speeding it up a little, but that's not enough for this kind of song. And then they're like, no, it's going to be sweet. You'll see. And I was like, second, wrong audience. They're not going to.
Right? Everybody just shuts off immediately. Boom. What are they doing?
Which is exactly what happened. Our shows were doing so great. And then as soon as we hit that song, and they're like the whole band, like we argued, and I was the only one going, don't do this. And they're like, no. And then they finally were like, is this a democracy or not? You're outvoted. And I'm like, fine. And then
when you have to play something that you hate, it's the worst thing ever to you.
It's the worst. And
I feel like that's kind of like an odd choice to drop like in the middle of a tour.
In the middle
right?
of a tour where
were you guys in Jersey or something? Like what inspired this
what was the reason?
I don't remember where we were. It's so traumatic. When we started playing the song, keep in mind the crowd's going off, they're moshing, they're into it, and we start this song, and I just turn around and I face my bass cab. I'm just like, and then I start leaning off into the dark out of the spotlight.
Maybe you were the reason why it didn't succeed, because you if you would have stayed the course.
Yeah, if you would have been like, I'm so stoked to play this.
Like everyone might have been like, yeah, all right. Instead, you're like, this is the worst. Everyone's like, yeah, it's the worst.
Fuck you, Jeff. That's not what happened.
Attitude, Dom.
No, listen.
You fucked that song up.
I turned around. I played that song really well. I turned around and I looked over and I saw the members of Strike Anywhere who were watching us, and I saw.
I love those guys.
And I saw one of them go, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know."
It had to
like
have
while
been
you're playing the song.
It had to have been Eric. Eric would have been like, why are you doing that?
All the rest of the band were going crazy. They were so into it. It was as if they were cosplaying Bon Jovi. The crowd went from moshing to just standing still. And the first night they came off stage, and then we played another song, and we had to build up the crowd again. You had to get them going again. Like it took like 3 songs before they started moving. But that first night, the band was completely blind to that. They were like, that was so fucking sweet. And then like Strike Anywhere, as I mentioned, went up to him and went, why'd you do that? And I'm like, I know. And so then they played it a second night, and I was like, watch the crowd this time. And
they did it performance?
They did it twice. We did it twice.
Why?
The second time,
Why?
they actually watched the crowd, and the crowd stopped. And you saw them go from like being epic to like go during the song to stop moving around so much because they could tell they killed the energy that time. And then they afterwards they were so mad at me because I was right, and we never played it again.
I guess you got to learn the lesson the hard way sometimes. I would have been out after the first night. I was like, nah.
I had a wireless. I was literally almost in the parking lot. That's how far off the stage I tried to get during that song. Like I was like,
so you had a wireless and you were playing a Bon Jovi cover.
Oh my God.
I can't play with the cable. I'm sorry. I can't. I fuck it all up. There's footage of what I do to cables. Like I break them. I rip them out. I knot them up. I move around too much. And I can't. It's always been like this.
That's true. Wireless scares me. I'm always afraid like something's gonna happen. I don't trust it.
I've watched too many things happen with bands to ever even get in that zone. I'm like, I'm good. I have to. Even when I was younger, before I had a wireless, I was known for cut like cables would get ripped out and fucked up because I go too far, I go too crazy, I spin around too much, and I just wreck cables. So for me, when I plug in and use a cable, that's a fucking disaster waiting to happen. Like my tour manager knows, like they literally like when I have to use a cable, the wireless is broken. Or if the wireless, something goes wrong with the wireless and we have to switch to the cable really quick, he knows that he has to be on my side of the stage because I am tearing. They try and tape it down. It doesn't work. I've ripped cables apart. I'm telling you, they'll turn into a big, like, it'll look like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation where they hold up the Christmas lights.
You can't be contained.
I can't. I can't. Except if I play Bon Jovi Living on a Prayer, then I just stand still and I don't move at all. So
it's okay. It's okay. I still like you.
I'm never gonna forget that you told me about that song.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
This is an interview with
Jeff.
Jeff.
This is where like some things you're not supposed to know.
Dude,
it changes some things.
We're interviewing you, and I just confessed one of the most humiliating music moments I've ever had.
I love this. Tell me more. Tell me more.
Tell me your most humiliating thing on stage then.
Oh shit. That's rough. I have to think about that one.
Right?
I got Noise by Numbers played Fest this one year, and we got to Gainesville. And this is funny because speaking of Strike Anywhere, because they were there hanging out with us.
Maybe they're the vector.
I ended up sleeping on their floor that night. But so we got to Gainesville at like 11 in the afternoon. Everyone in Noise by Numbers drank a lot. Our set was at like 1 in the morning, right? So we were already convinced that nobody was going to be there. We got so ripped all day, right? By the time, like, I mean, no one could even barely stand up by the time we went to play. And we go to play the show, and it is like oversold out, jam-packed. I thought there was going to be like 20 people there at like 1 in the morning. And it was like, you couldn't move in the place. I'm like, fuck, man. Like, I knocked over the drums when we were playing, apparently. Like Dan, I mean, I've never seen like footage. I've seen snippets of it. It's like, at the time, I thought it was kind of like the Replacements or something, but apparently it wasn't all that great.
You're like, we're killing it up here.
I literally knocked over the entire drum set in the middle of a song. It was rough. And we got done playing the show, and Eric from Strike Anywhere is like, I was like, dude, he's like, oh man, ugh.
That's awful.
I'm like, what? It was bad. He's like, well, it was something. It was something.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And then Dan came out, and Dan's like, that was terrible. It was awful. And he was like, and you were the worst of all. And I was like, I was the worst of all. You were the worst of all, man. And then
and then everybody in the band's like, you fucked that all up. You ruined it.
We ended up getting in this argument, and I'm like, I'm out of here. And I left with Eric and went and slept on their floor in their hotel. And I woke up in the morning between like the beds, like covered like with a blanket that I was or like a towel that I was covering up with. And I ended up having to go meet Dan like 9 in the morning because we were doing like an acoustic song for some radio thing. And I like walked from their hotel. It was like 2 miles. It was like the worst like hangover, like music walk of shame. And I meant to go meet Dan at Mother's, and like the guy who was like taking us to go record this thing was so excited. And Dan and I are both just looking at each other like, yeah, stuff. Yeah, that happened. Okay. That was probably the worst. That's probably the worst.
You got one, Christina? What's yours? What's your worst?
Oh God. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess the only time it involves getting too drunk. Every bad thing happens. But we played a show at the Redwood Bar. It was a little show, and it was Nicole's birthday. And we went on last, same thing, and we're just like, no one's gonna still be there. We don't care. We're partying all night. And then we get on stage, and we're like, we're awesome, and we think we're so good, and we're just drunk. Like, Nicole's singing the wrong words. I think we had to like stop an entire song and just like play a different song because nobody could remember the song. And we still were like, that was so fun at the end of it. And then we get done and people are like, what happened? What did you do? What's wrong with you guys? Like, luckily, like, that doesn't happen very often. I mean, it's so awful when it, like, afterwards, like, you feel horrible. You're like, oh God, I'm a horrible person. But while we were doing it, it was really fun. Like, it was the funnest show ever.
Right? It's memorable, right?
So fun. Until you realize what you did, and you're like, that's bad. Not fun.
Nowadays, they get filmed. Nowadays, they get filmed and put on YouTube forever.
Yeah, you have to be careful now. Everyone finds out.
I've never seen footage of that Living on a Prayer show, so I'm really happy.
Oh my God. I'm gonna search the web for that.
You just see me like just fading. That's all you see. I'm just like fading off. Anyway,
we'll just have Eric. We'll have Eric do it. We'll have Eric Kane do his recount of your worst day and my worst day. And see which one's the worst one.
I think Dom wins, man. He had to play "Living on a Prayer" twice.
We were playing our own songs.
In front of NoFX, I had to do it sober. Their crowd.
Embarrassing.
It was embarrassing. Bad. It was just so bad. And actually, that later, it wasn't too far after that tour, I got pushed out of that band. And one of the things they said is like, well, you don't really like the stuff we like. And I was like, that's true. Like, even while I'm like discussing like not wanting to leave the band and them wanting me to leave the band, I'm sitting there going like, no, you have a point there. I do not like the stuff you like. No. We're not on the same
page. I love this conversation. This is great.
See, this is what happens when you sit between two bassists. No, that's just
between two bassists.
Nice.
No, this is what it's like where there's no journalists and we
talk about the important issues.
Yeah.
We got through the question of like, where's your band come from? What were you thinking when you made this? Now we're like, remember that time everything went fucking wrong?
Well, I just love that we're like music nerds enough between the three of us to be able to sit here and just have fun with this. This is great.
Oh, that's awesome. That's hilarious. So now I'm like, I should probably reel it in and ask like an official question here, shouldn't I?
Sure.
Well, you guys have been pretty prolific, like you said. Like the last, your last LP, Shoot the Messenger, that's an incredible album. And as we said, got AT in trouble because people wanted it so bad. And then you did the 7-inch. It's not what they believe.
The Painkiller, not what you believe.
Painkiller, not what you believe. That rips. What was the reason?
That's my favorite one. That's my favorite one, I think.
That's the favorite? Two songs. Just both kill.
There was just a lot of things going on with all of our lives at the time when we made that record. And I feel like you can feel it in the playing. You know what I mean? And I mean, at least like, I mean, Derek and I did the drums and guitars together. And then it was another thing where, you know, I had to send the music out to Nate in Florida and Vic in Seattle. And I really didn't, I mean, we had sent some demos back and forth. So I kind of had an idea of what everybody was going to do, but I didn't really know how it was going to come together. And like, when I got everyone's tracks, like I got fucking emotional, dude. Like that song Painkiller is really something special to me. I just like, there's something about it. I feel like you can just feel the fucking weight of it, man. I almost didn't want to do any more. I almost didn't want to do any more records after that, to be honest.
Really?
Like, oh, wow.
I just didn't think there was anything that, I mean, not like that anything has to be better than another. I just was like, there was something about that recording that just hit me so hard that I was like, this is kind of like, this is it, right? This is like, this is how we leave it, you know?
That's rad. That's a really cool feeling. Like, how often do you get to feel that way? That's really neat.
It was a heavy feeling, you know? It was like, it was, I mean, there's something that's kind of like, wow, like, I feel like we really did something special. And then like something that's like the emotional baggage of it all, like really just fucking weighs on you, you know?
Yeah, that's incredible.
But, you know, and then the world goes to fucking shit. And then it's like, no, we need to write more fucking music, man.
Yeah.
Wait, I have more to say. Never mind. Hold on. P.S. We're not done.
No.
All the circumstances changed.
Well, I mean, there's never really like an ending on the band because it's, I mean, we're all great friends. And like, there's no like we'll just make music and play when we can until nobody wants to do it anymore, you know? There's not like an expectation of like touring, you know, even though we all would like to tour. And honestly, I mean, I don't even know if I had talked to you about this, Dominic, but like we had planned on doing some touring this year. Like,
oh, good.
It was like all talked about and everything.
Just rub the salt into 2020 there, Jeff. Thanks. Like, not only did my tours get ruined and her tour, I was like, Dad, he was going to tour? I would have loved to have seen that.
There was a lot of good things that were going to happen this year, man.
That's true.
I mean.
Yeah. Next year. Hopefully next year.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We'll see what November brings.
I wanted to do another Tentacle Fest in fall because we did the last one last year.
Yeah.
It sold out 2 days, was awesome. And both your bands were bands that I really, really wanted. And I was going to hit you up, Jeff, going, what would it take for you guys to do something in the fall with for a Tentacle Fest? What would it take for you guys to fly out and play this? And like, I was just like, and I knew I wanted the Darts on that one because you guys couldn't do the last. So I was like, I was really hoping we could put it together. Now I'm like, maybe we can do something digital or online.
Now who's throwing the salt on the wound?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that would have been real fun.
Yeah,
real neat.
It'll happen.
It's play together. You know?
It's gonna happen. It'll happen. We'll make something happen. But I'm not going, like, I have some ideas for digital, and then when we can do stuff, I would definitely want the Tentacle Fest to keep going because it was too awesome. So, and you guys are on the top of the list of having that. I just wanted to put together, like, the one fun thing about AT is that we're all so different because it's really based on Jello's crazy taste. And like I kind of said earlier before we started recording, it's like the label's not based off of one scene in one city. I mean, it's a San Francisco label, but at the same time, it's like the bands are from everywhere and sound like everything. It's just stuff he feels that needs to be heard.
I mean, that's one of the things I've loved about being able to release records through this label. I feel fortunate, man. You know?
It's got a weight to it. Like when, you know, I got really emotional when I saw my record come out with that Bat logo on it. I was
like, dude. Holy
shit. Yeah, it was like the coolest feeling ever, like opening it up and being like 18.
Yeah,
it didn't seem like I mean, I grew up in Las Vegas and, you know, I'm thankful for the music and skateboard community that I grew up with, and everyone there are still like some of my favorite people in the world. But it never felt like anybody was ever really left that town, or you know what I mean? And so like I don't know, it's just it seems fucked up to me that like I have a record with that bat logo on it. I mean, the first tape that anybody gave me was Bedtime for Democracy. And then MIA is like originally from Vegas. They're one of my all-time favorite bands. And I spent my youth looking at that MIA record, looking at that fucking AT label on Murder in a Foreign Place. Like, it's wild to me that I get to have a record that has that.
Yeah, it's so crazy. I'm glad that you feel that way too, because I like super freaked out about it when I opened our record, and I was like, it's so weird. Like,
it's crazy.
I was just a nerdy little kid, like trying to listen to music with all this like cool stuff on it before, and now it's on my record, and that's so cool. Yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
It's a trip, and I had to like not pretend like it's like, oh, this is cool, no big deal, and inside I'm like, because for also it's like working here is crazy because it's like there's a lot of weight to that, like a lot of responsibility in the decisions, and try and like be true to what this label is and be aware of it.
I can't even imagine what lies in the archives, man. There's got to be so many nuggets, dude, that like you know about. It's got to be crazy,
dude. I would
never leave work, dude. I would just live there.
We've gone through The Office and we've redone it. So I don't know if either of you have been in The Office ever, but I
went in there once and Corey showed us some crazy stuff. Like, just like all kinds of things that I would never think I would see in real life. Like,
we changed a bunch of stuff around, but yeah, like we open up a cardboard like thing, and then you'll pull out like these legendary like the collages that are in the liner notes of Dead Kennedy records,
and they're just like rolled up, like
just like
stacked up, like on the loft.
Yeah,
like, just piled up everywhere.
We've changed that. Like when I got there, they were sort of shoved under stuff and kind of all over. And there's a process of organizing it that's going on, and even framing some of the things.
You need to get like a humidity-controlled vault.
Honestly,
in it.
Honestly, it totally should. And even the posters, like I pulled out a poster for like the 10th anniversary show or the 20th anniversary show, and you see who was on it. Like there's just so many cool like combinations, like the whole thing. I've actually talked to some people about doing an art show based on just the art of Alternative Tentacles, like all the different
amazing
album covers and the different like collages and the different like, it's such a history because like there's like, I mean, I don't know, it's a very crazy label to be on and to be at and to work at. And yeah, we're trying to basically now make The Office and we're pretty successful, like of making it a place where like when bands tour again, that can come through and visit and actually feel like they're actually somewhere really cool to hang out and see some of this stuff. So it's not just like digging through papers. It's more like, oh my God, I'm opening this book up, or there it is up on the wall. Like, this is amazing.
You guys had Winston's original AT logo drawing in like a plastic sheath hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
What?
Like, what?
That's
not in a safe?
That's just there.
It is in a safe now. It's actually getting framed. It's getting framed. But when I got there, they had used a plastic binder sleeve to put it in, and then they put push pins and stuck it on the wall.
Oh Jesus.
So now, but it's like dated, it's pencil, and then he inked it, and like right now it's sitting in a safe. It's funny because that's about to get framed and matted, and it's going to be put up. So,
well, if you come across the AT version of Land Speed record, hook me up.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy how much stuff is in there. Like, you're not joking. Like, I still kind of pinch myself, like, because I was convinced Jello wasn't going to like my band, but like, and then he did, and then we're on it, and now there's an album on it, and I'm like, I cannot believe that we get to be part of that, the whole legacy.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we geek out on it. So just if everybody's wondering if people geek out when they get signed to AT and get to put a record, the answer is yes. There's no like, I don't think
any for granted at all.
Yeah,
Me and Dom have been currently geeking out and being like, let's talk to all the bands that have ever been on AT, because we have nothing to do with our lives, and like we want to get everybody together and like get to know everybody. And be like a little label family.
Yeah.
It's like the ultimate geek out.
There's so many good bands and they don't really know each other. I mean, and think of the combination of shows, like just, okay, like never mind just the three of our bands together, like what kind of show that would seem like, but like then throw in like World Inferno Friendship Society and Pansy Division, and then like throw in Itch.io, you know, it's like, it's just like that's without even including Jello himself. So it's like, it's crazy. And so that's one of the reasons the Tentacle Fest and stuff, I want to make that a yearly thing, because the shows will be literally like a lottery of like what you're going to get.
Right.
It's going to be nuts, you know? So you guys got to do it when that happens.
You don't have to twist my arm, dude. I'm there.
Yeah.
Hey,
I want to do it now.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
I do have one question. Did the fact that the last 7-inch was so much of a highlight, did that affect why you guys decided to do digital for this release?
No.
No.
I thought the digital ID was your idea.
I thought it was yours.
No, I put that on record.
I would totally have it on record. I would totally put that on record.
We'll put it on record, especially now that we know the thing about digital releases versus vinyl releases.
Are you serious? Because I thought you guys wanted it out. You said like you wanted it out quicker, and so you wanted to do a digital release.
It was important to get it out. I mean, I wanted the music out as soon as we could because the songs are so topical,
right,
and relevant to what's going on. And it was like
it's
very important for it to at least be out before November, you know. But that being said, I mean, dude, yeah, of course I could put a 7-inch out of it. That'd be fucking awesome.
Literally, this is the conversation like a day ago Jello and I had. Why don't they want to do an actual vinyl release for this? And I was like, I don't know. I would. These songs are great.
I do. We do.
Who doesn't want to put out a record?
I was like, maybe he just wants to do a digital release. Keep it easy. I mean, okay.
I could already picture like the vinyl scheme, the color vinyl scheme coordinated with what the record cover is.
All right. I did the cover for this. So
you did? You did not send that to me. You sent me the songs, but not the cover.
He did such a good job with it too. It's really fantastic.
Nice.
I was trying to come up with something that would work with like on a phone or when you're scrolling through Spotify. I wanted something to catch your eye, but now I'm fucking stoked that it could be a vinyl. Like, so I'll be in touch. Like,
let's do it.
The record. Because literally Jello was like, why is it only going to be digital? And I was like, I don't know.
I thought that was your idea, man.
I was listening to you. You said, release this digitally. And I was like, okay.
Oh, my gosh.
Little did I know this podcast would lead to decisions being made, business decisions, important ones.
Life-changing decisions.
You heard it here, everybody.
Shelf-changing decisions.
There will be a vinyl version of this record.
Yes.
Woo!
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
All right. Yeah, I don't know when. I will have to get to work on that. Like,
this was like a really fruitful interview then.
Look, we're solving
now
all the
there's a record.
Oh, done. Let's go have lunch.
Yeah.
Now we're going to lunch.
Right? We should be going to get drinks after this or something.
We should. We totally
Not
should.
fair.
That would be amazing. Jeez.
Yeah, social distance drinks would be really awesome right now.
Right.
What do you guys think about like how this, like, I mean, right now nobody really knows when it's gonna be able to kick out. And actually, I mean, there's a couple different ideas. I mean, I think we'll see some kinds of shows in 2021, but I think it'll be 2022 before we see the club scene completely reawaken. And we also have to see which clubs survive this shutdown.
Local H has been killing it around here. They've been doing these drive-in shows. I mean, granted, not all bands can facilitate something like that, but they've been doing this thing where literally they play at a drive-in theater and people bring their cars in and everyone's distanced. And the photos from them they look incredible. I mean, Scott and Ryan they're smart. They're they're awesome. Like, I can't believe they're pulling it off, and it looks rad. I mean,
Itch.io's doing that.
Most bands aren't in that kind of position to be able to do something like that, but at least people are trying to make it work, you know?
Yeah, Itch.io's doing that I think this Friday they're doing a drive-in show in Denver.
Nice.
Yeah, so I mean,
my concern about like where music goes from here is that like I feel like we're like all like on the border of being agoraphobic now because of being like just forced to be indoors. So it's like, even if it gets to a point where like people are safe enough to be around each other, which I mean, I assume will happen at some fucking point. I don't know if it's in the next year, but it'll get back to a point where like physically it's okay for people to be around each other, but mentally, will anybody be able to do it or want to? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, you already see the way that's just
thing.
isolating friendships. Like are people even gonna have the desire to even be in a room with one another anymore? It's really
right.
It's crazy, you know. Like I don't. Who knows? I hope music brings people together again. You know.
Yeah.
The only time I liked being around big groups of people, like touching each other, like, you know, is at shows. I'm gonna miss that a lot. Like just being in a crowd of people. And
well, I almost feel like it's like there's a lot of things with what's going on right now. It's like music and show wise. I think there'll be like a big DIY thing that happens underneath the surface again. I mean, I don't know if I'm too old to know where it's at or be a part of it, but I think there will be a thing that bubbles under the surface again that really 100%. Like it's like fruitful.
Yeah, like house show type things.
Yeah,
probably will start first.
And then with records and stuff right now, like it's such a unique opportunity and time that's never happened before. And the fact that nobody can tour and nobody can play, it's like leveled the playing field as far as I'm concerned as to what you can do to get your music out there. There's no reason that anybody's band couldn't be as popular or successful or sell as many records as anybody. Yeah. Because no one could fucking tour, man. Like, so how much hustle do you got? Like what are you putting into what you're creating is what's going to really define what gets music into people's fucking ears, man.
But how do we do it? Like, we just have to get really good at social media or the internet or like posting. I don't know how to do it.
See, it's
like,
I don't either, but I just feel like it's leveled the playing field. You know what I mean?
I think you're right. Yeah, everybody's kind of in the same boat for sure.
I definitely think that you're correct on a couple levels here, because I do think the first things that are going to come back are going to be the smaller DIY shows of a group of people getting together and throwing a party or a show, whether it's advisable or not. We already see that to an extent, but I think eventually the scene will get to a point where local places will start putting on little things, maybe outdoors or whatever, but they're going to put them on. Things will happen at some point, and I think those will be the first things. And as far as that's always the trick, is how do you let people know about what you're doing? How do you get that out there? But I think, as always, I hate to say it, but it comes back down to like starting out with the people you know and letting them hear the thing that you are doing and getting them to hear it and spread it for you. In a sense, you got to kind of try to turn your group of friends and your people into your own little street team to help put it on blast, because that's the one downside on social media now. They choke it, you know, like they want you to pay. They try to bleak you for money so that you bleak. I can't believe I said that word. They want you to milk you for money so that you can, I think I was trying to say milk and bilk you, and I came up with bleak. They beat. Anyway, they basically, you know, you have to pay out so much and your reach is choked as opposed to what social media used to be. But what will always trump that is if you have a group of friends and people and you show your stuff to and you get them to share it, you get them, you know, excited about it. Yes, you're right. It's a level playing field. You can totally make something happen. There's ways to do it. I think content is always going to be king. You have to have something that people can show other people.
Well, at the end of the day, people are always going to want to artistically express themselves out in the world, besides fucking bullshit social media, man. So if that makes a new kind of underground scene and makes it like how it was back, like when I was getting the music, where it was like you had to really fucking work to find it. I mean, that kind of stuff is going to happen again, you know? like we're not gonna be like relegated to communicating through fucking screens. You know, I hope not anyways.
I hope not, man. I'm over it. I just like miss any sort of live music in any way, and like it's hard here because it's like 130 degrees outside, so we can't do any of the like the outside stuff or any of the drive-in stuff. I mean, hopefully when it cools off we can start doing stuff like that here, because it sounds so like just anything sounds fun at this point.
Yeah.
It just struck me that you two both live in opposite situations, where basically during the summer and spring and early fall, Chicago can totally pop off with outdoor events, but during winter, late fall and winter, there's absolutely nothing. But yet in Phoenix, in Arizona, during the summer and early spring, it is too hot to do anything, so you have to wait till fall and winter before you can go outdoors and
well, I mean, I'm from Las Vegas originally, so I know, I get it. I totally understand the desert, man. It's rough.
Yeah, it's gnarly. We usually spend the whole summer like touring and not being here.
Yeah.
And I'm just here all summer.
Jeff, thank you so much for talking to us. Like, seriously, this is absolutely great. Your band, all your bands.
Great to catch up with you. It's just great to catch up with you, man.
Yeah, I know, right?
It was nice to meet you, Jeff. Your band is super rad.
I hope we get to play together.
Yeah, hopefully someday.
Yeah. I would like to see some shows. I would love see that. I have to admit, I would love to see our alphabetically placed D bands play together. I'd like to see the Darts and Dead Ending do a show. That would be a crazy fun show.
That'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah. So we'll make it happen. There'll be a time. Maybe it'll be in somebody's basement.
Even better.
Big secret show.
Yeah. That'd be more fun anyways.
Yeah, totally.
A basement tour like the 80s, like the 80 back in the punk rock shows in the 80s. It'd be all like house shows.
We used to play shows in caves out in the desert in Vegas. That's what we used to do.
Oh, we could do that.
I'd say bring back I played a couple of desert shows in Phoenix back in the day, but we'd bring that back.
That would be sick.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
For sure.
All right, well, everybody check out Dead Ending's brand new EP. It's out digitally, American Virus. You can find it on
it's coming out on vinyl now.
And it's totally coming out on vinyl.
It's really rad, too.
Lest anyone thinks that we are so professional and on top of things, we now just discovered that we both want it out on vinyl, so it will be.
Excellent.
Thank you, everybody. We'll talk to you next time. And we'll have another episode of Between Two Bassists.